Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cleveland Browns franchise. The NFL draft is here as the Cleveland Browns get ready to make their picks in the 2016 NFL draft. The reason I have it on this screen is because I was looking at my draft board and I had to start the draft. So here we go. With the number 1 overall pick, the Bears take quarterback Riley Tarpley. With the number 2 pick, the Giants take Brennan Thomas. With the number 3 pick, a cornerback is taken by Jacksonville. Taylor McNeil goes number 4 to Atlanta. Houston here at pick number 5. And as you can see already, 3 quarterbacks taken in the first 4. And 3 quarterbacks I really liked. So let's hope that 4th one falls a little further. It'll be pretty interesting to see what happens. I spent a little while looking at the Texans here. I was writing down some of my draft picks. I was writing down who had been selected when. And the Texans take a wide receiver, Rashawn Travis, who I had looked at. Looking ahead, the Jets would take they would trade it to the Giants, who would take a right outside linebacker, Stokes. And I kept writing down draft picks on paper. And with the next pick, the Oakland Raiders take a defensive tackle, Stone. The Bucks take Tolliver, who I really liked. I was putting down his name as one that had been selected. He was one of my prospects I was looking at, but he went number 8 overall. The Colts were on the clock next with number 9, and they took a left tackle, Swanson. The Ravens took a wide receiver. The Bills took Bo Griffin, the quarterback. No, Bo Griffin, I believe. That's some Griffin. I'm not sure which Griffin, because there were multiple B Griffins who were quarterback. Chargers take a quarterback. Cardinals take a right end. The Rams took a left end. The Eagles took a left end. The Panthers took a wide receiver. And we were on the clock. So looking through these trade offers and looking at them, I looked at all the trade offers and I realized that I had to pause the draft. I like to have extra time to make these picks. So I scrolled down and looked at where our next pick was. And I decided to review offers. So I looked at all of these, and I decided to trade down somewhere. I forget where. But I looked at all these offers, and Seattle, Cincinnati, Chicago was there. And I looked at these, and I ended up trading with our divisional rivals, Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to be getting a multitude of draft picks out of this. Their 1st, 3rd, and 5th. And the Bengals traded up to select a wide receiver. The Lions were up next, and they selected a middle linebacker. The Packers took a cornerback. The Chiefs took a wide receiver. The Dallas Cowboys took a defensive tackle. The Redskins took a quarterback. And I was up next. So I decided to take a look at my draft board. I looked at the quarterbacks, and Byron Turner would not be available. Byron Turner was rated out as a 2nd-round prospect, a 3rd-round talent, though. So I decided to look at this, and I saw that we could trade down potentially with somebody, and our next pick was at number 49. So I decided to trade away this pick as well. I took a look down. I wanted to figure out what types of picks I would be getting, so I reviewed my offers. And I eventually ended up taking... I looked at this and I wanted to get Byron Turner, the quarterback. And I looked through these. And looking through these, there's nothing that really sticks out to me. So I decided to review offers again. And I ended up taking up Chicago on an offer. So we get their 2nd this year and their 2nd next year. The Bears traded up to take a defensive tackle. The Lions took a strong safety. The Steelers took another wide receiver. The Bears took a right end. The Saints decided to take a middle linebacker. Miami took a tight end, Ruben Randall, who I liked. The next pick, the Seahawks took Thomas McCoy at number 29. Up next was the Denver Broncos, and I was crossing him off my list. The Broncos took a wide receiver, Jolly. The Titans took a defensive tackle. The Bengals took a right end. And we were up next, and we decided it was time to pick a player I was looking through, and I need a quarterback, and so I was looking at Byron Turner, and Byron Turner's a 75 overall, and he is now on the team. Yeah, we reached a bit, but I feel like with a little development, he can be the future of this franchise. So with that, I wrote down my draft pick. I put down quarterback Byron Turner, and the Jets were next. So as I was writing this down, we were just entering the second round. As you can see, I need to get the value of this team up. And the Jets took another cornerback. The Jacksonville Jaguars took a cornerback. The Falcons took a D-tackle. The Texans ended up taking a tight end I really liked. The Bengals took a left outside linebacker. The Raiders took a cornerback. The Buccaneers took another tight end. The Colts took a middle linebacker. The Ravens took another tight end. The Bills took a they traded to the Raiders who got a cornerback. The Chargers got a cornerback. The Cardinals got a tight end. The Seahawks got a defensive tackle. The Rams got a cornerback, who I really liked. And this is kind of annoying because I had my eye on Quentin Orr. The Panthers took a strong safety. And now the player I really wanted was still on the board. So I decided to go ahead and take a look at Deshaun Ramsey. And let's take a look. B+ man, B+. And he is an 80 overall cornerback. That's great. He's number 28 in true talent, and he should be a great addition to our already deep secondary. But you can never have enough good defensive backs, and that was just another addition right there. So I was writing down that pick, and up next are the Detroit Lions on the clock. So I was writing down these picks so far. I put down Deshaun Ramsey and Byron Turner. And the next pick, the Lions take a middle linebacker. The Packers took a strong safety. The Chiefs took a left end. The Cowboys traded to the Falcons who took a right guard. And I looked for my next pick, and I kept on going down, and I was at number 81. So I wanted to trade up for somebody. I looked at the Redskins, but I was looking at the Redskins, and I ended up passing. So they traded to the Seahawks, who got a wide receiver. The Jets took a strong safety. And I looked at my draft board, and I was looking at tight ends. I saw Jimmy Binns, and Ryan Coleman was available. He seemed like an interesting prospect in the early third round. So I decided to try to trade into the early third round. So I kept going ahead. The Steelers were there. The Vikings took a wide receiver. The Saints took they traded to the Raiders who took the right tackle, Phillip. The Dolphins took a halfback. The Redskins took a halfback. And the Broncos took the tight end, Binns. The Titans took a left end. The Niners took a wide receiver. The Packers were up next, and that was the player I was looking at, so I had to cross them off my board. The Packers took a free safety. The Giants traded to the Broncos, who got a right end. And I decided to attempt to trade up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I decided to put in the number 87 overall pick and the number 151 overall pick. So I submitted it, and my offer was sent, but the Jaguars ended up declining. They didn't want to trade. So I would advance to the next pick, and they would take a left guard, Franklin. The Cowboys were up next, and I tried to negotiate with them as well. So, looking at picks, I threw in the number 81 pick this time, and the number 113 pick. I put in the 118 and 87 and saw what they would think, and they rejected the trade. So they would keep their pick at number 68. I was trying to move up and get the tight end, but they ended up, and the trade to the Texans, who got a wide receiver. The Jets took a right guard. The Saints took the tight end, Ryan Coleman, and a middle linebacker went to. And now we're looking at the Ravens. They took the left outside linebacker. The Bills traded to the Falcons, who took a D-tackle. The Chargers took the wide receiver. The Cardinals took a right tackle. The Rams took a cornerback. The Eagles took a left tackle. The Panthers took a left tackle. And I was next. And I looked at my trade offers. I looked at the Cincinnati Chicago, Minnesota, Seattle. I had plenty of offers from all the teams. So going down the list, I wanted to acquire some more picks, but I wanted to get some good value if I was going to accept. And I was about to take Washington's offer, but I stalled. And scrolling down the list, we had another pick at number 87. I wanted to look where the Redskins picked, and they didn't pick for a while. So I decided to, I almost did, and I decided to look at my offers again. And now I decided to just go back and look at where some different teams were picking and where I could get the best possible value. And I ended up making a selection with the number 81 pick. I scrolled down to tight end. Trey Barkley was available in the 4th round. I looked at center. I looked at my watched players. I looked at my all-watched players. Travadis Lunsford was there. Ali Huval was there. And I almost picked Travadis Lunsford from Michigan State. I scrolled down. I looked at all the available players. Scrolling down the list. Brian Barber, a running back, was there. Laveraus Russell was there. I needed another wide receiver. And Laveraus Russell was much like a bust. He was a 64 overall in the 3rd round. Not good value. And I sort of messed up in picking him. I hadn't scouted him out. The Eagles take a quarterback, Lucas Belton. The Chiefs take a right outside linebacker. The Cowboys take a right end. The Chiefs take a right outside linebacker. And now I wanted to look where I pick next. I was looking down the list and looking at the teams that were still there. And I wanted to get into the early 4th and take Travadis Lunsford. So I was counting down until where the 4th round started. And I wanted to trade. And I reviewed my offers, and no one would offer me an early 4th. It did not appear. I looked at New York's offer, and I ended up accepted. So I have a 4th this year from them and a 4th next year from them. So we'll have plenty of picks next year. And they took a cornerback, Walters. The Lions took a wide receiver. The Steelers took Travadis Lunsford, who I was looking at. The Vikings took a right outside linebacker, Huval. The Seahawks took a left outside linebacker, a right outside linebacker to the Dolphins, a left guard to the Seahawks. Barber went to the Broncos, a right outside linebacker to the Titans. The Niners took a cornerback. The Vikings took a linebacker. And I was ready to make my next selection. So I looked at my watched players. Pone Knox was on the list. McGee was on the list. Tyler Knox was on the list. He looks very imposing based on that picture. Luke Brandon was there. And so I went back to all my areas. So I looked at my trade offers. There was Minnesota, Seattle was there, New York was offering more, and none of those picks really seemed like good value, so I decided to end up picking a player at this point. I scrolled down, I looked at them, I looked at my watched players. I had Knox. Knox was on my list. Out of Texas, Luke Brandon from OSU was there. And Luke Brandon is the newest Brown. He's a 77 overall, 6'3", 303 pounds. Should be a good addition to this interior defensive line. So the Jaguars were up next, and they took a strong safety, Jordan. And the Cowboys traded to the Raiders, who took a left end. The Texans took a quarterback. The Jets took a middle linebacker. The Saints took a tight end. The Bucks took a cornerback. The Saints took another tight end. The Ravens took a cornerback. The Bills took a halfback. The Chargers took a left end. The Cardinals took a wide receiver. The Rams took a center. The Chiefs took a left tackle. And the Panthers took a D tackle, which put us on the clock once again. I looked at these offers. None of them really seemed all that enticing. And I was looking at it. So I decided to make a pick at the 113th overall pick. I looked at my watched players. There was Knox, McGee, Toby Riles was there. He seemed like an interesting prospect in the 5th round. And Lavolan Sampson was there. Thompson was there. So going back to my screens, I decided to end up picking a player here. I looked at my watch list. I went down the list and I looked at Dan McGee. And McGee is a 78 overall. He's the newest Brown. He's a good running back. I need to add more depth in the backfield because I don't like Terrence West that much. The Lions took a left end. The Rams took another cornerback. The Chiefs took a cornerback as well. The Cowboys took a middle linebacker. And I was on the clock yet again at the number 118 pick this time. I looked at my watch list. Pone Knox, Toby Riles, and Lavone Sampson were all options. Pone Knox was the only one listed as Toby Riles was there, but he was a power run right tackle. DeAndre Lauderdale was my next right tackle. He was in the 7th round, though. And Pone Knox appeared to be the best value here, but I wanted to make sure that there was no one else good there. Zach Phillip was an option. Pone Knox was an option there. I talked about that. Cedric Flowers, I'd already picked up Dale McGee, so I really didn't need him. Tolliver seemed interesting, but I hadn't scouted him out. So scrolling down, I wanted to find my next pick and find people who are trading right under us and see if we could trade down a bit. New York was picking at 130. The Jaguars were at 131. The Falcons were at 132. The Jets at 134. I decided to look at my trade offers, and both teams really weren't picking that high, or it was futures picks. So scrolling up there, that was just the old players. I looked down. Dallas picked at 125, but it was a futures pick and not a now pick. I decided to review my offers, and I really wasn't getting any value. It was mostly just going up, me going down, and then them going up, and nothing really happening. So I really didn't think that was that good of a value, and I might as well pick somebody here. So I looked at my trade offers one more time. Cincinnati and Dallas both. Cincinnati was offering me their pick this year. Dallas was offering me their pick next year. So I decided to end up making a selection here. I wasn't getting enough value from those two teams. I looked at Pone Knox out of Auburn. He would fit my scheme very well. Toby Riles was an option out of Montana, the right tackle. I nearly picked him. So I looked at my other available players. There were 2 third-round prospects left, but I hadn't scouted out either of them, and neither of them seemed very good. It looked like Pone Knox was actually better. Zach Phillip was an option out of Lehigh, but he really didn't seem like worth that pick. Pone Knox was an option there, and Pone Knox is now a Brown. He's a 71 overall defensive tackle, so more depth at defensive tackle. That's good to see. The Bengals took a cornerback. The Patriots took a cornerback. The Steelers took a strong safety. The Vikings took a cornerback. The Saints took a free safety. And going down the list, there wasn't a ton happening here anymore. Now it was just starting to get into the lower rounds where we don't know as many of the names. Free safety to the Vikings. Flowers to the Giants. The Jaguars took a left outside linebacker. And the Patriots took a left tackle. The Texans took Cedric Flowers. The Jets took McClendon. The Raiders took a free safety, Hester. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers took Zach Phillip. The Colts took a free safety. The Ravens took a right outside linebacker. The Bills took a strong safety. The 49ers took a quarterback. The Cardinals took a left outside linebacker. The Rams took a right end, Duncan Johnson. The Eagles took a wide receiver, Gordon. The Panthers took a D tackle, Thompson. And I was on the clock once again, and I wanted to make a selection here. I looked at my watched players, and Deambra and my next watched players weren't there till the 6th round, so everyone I really wanted was already gone. Tolliver, but I really didn't need another defensive tackle. Derek Mosley was an option there, but he didn't have a very good combine. And my next shouted out tight end was Dylan Mathis in the 7th round. He seemed like a good value, and I wanted to get him down there, but I'm not going to take him in the 5th round. So I looked at center. I could always use offensive line depth. Luke Cole, he was in the 6th round, but he was a good option out of Kentucky. He seemed like a good player. I looked at what round we were in. We were in the 5th round, so there really was no point in taking a 6th round player in the 5th round. And I wanted to make a pick here. DeMarcus Cole was an option. Jamichael Winston at cornerback and Dosha Jordan were both options. Hightower was an option. Paul Bolden in the 5th round, the tight end, was an option. Peniel Brandon, though, seemed interesting, the free safety. And he's a 69 overall free safety, so not a great player, but we are getting into the later rounds. We're in the 5th round, and you can't expect many great players here. The Lions take a wide receiver. The Packers take a middle linebacker. Ravens took a right end. The Cowboys took Bolden. The Redskins took a right tackle. And I wanted to trade up here. And I looked, and now I was at my pick again, and I wanted to take a look at the trade offers, but no one was offering me any good value. I wasn't getting anything out of it. I was just getting futures 4th round picks. So I decided to pick a player here. So I looked at my options. I looked at right tackle. DeAndre Lauderdale was there. He seemed interesting. Clifton Blue was an option. So was Andrew Spence. And looking back, I think DeAndre Lauderdale would have been the best option here, but I ended up not. I ended up passing on him. I looked at right outside linebackers. I looked at free safeties and strong safeties. Nick Jeffrey was an option at cornerback. Jamichael Winston was there. Dosha Jordan out of Cincinnati was there. He seemed like an interesting prospect. He had a good combine as well. Tight end Dylan Mathis wasn't there. It was going to be there in the 7th round, so I could hold off on him for the moment. So I decided to end up picking the player here because I was getting no value out of any of those teams. And Dosha Jordan was an option out of Cincinnati. He did not fit my scheme, but I feel like I can make it work. And I looked at the rest of the guys. Jeffrey Tolliver was a 4-3. He fit my scheme, but C+ pursuit was his top trait, and I wasn't going to pick him from that. So Dosha Jordan was almost selected. No, he was selected, and he's a 64 overall, so not very good, actually. But we are in the later rounds, and you can't expect tons of great value there. The Lions took a left outside linebacker. The Steelers took a left guard. The Vikings took a free safety. The Saints took a right guard, Graham. The Dolphins ended up taking, and I was writing down something, the Dolphins took a left guard. The Seahawks took a strong safety. The Lions took a right outside linebacker. The Titans took a wide receiver. The Niners took a cornerback. The Bears took a left outside linebacker. The Giants took a cornerback. The Jaguars were there. The Atlanta Falcons were there. Houston was there. And the Jaguars ended up taking, going down the list, the Houston Texans took the center. The Falcons took Lauderdale. The Jets took the first fullback, Ryan. The Raiders took a free safety. Tampa Bay took a wide receiver. Going down the list, the Ravens took a left tackle, Hernandez. The Bills took a halfback. The Chargers traded to the Redskins, who took a left tackle. The Cardinals took another fullback. The Rams took a left outside linebacker, Tolliver. The Eagles took a cornerback. The Panthers took a left tackle. And the Browns were up next. And I looked at our watch list. And Corbin Curse was there. Deshaun Milton was there. Curse seemed like the better player, though. He had a better combine and had a better skill set for all of those. And so Corbin Curse was nearly selected. Deshaun Milton was an option. But Curse seemed like the better player. And Curse is a 68 overall, so not bad for the 6th round. So moving along, the Lions took a left end. The Packers took a center. The Chiefs took a cornerback. The Niners took a halfback. The Bucks took a wide receiver. The Bengals took a cornerback. The Lions, who traded to the Patriots, who took a cornerback. The Steelers took a right tackle, Spence. The Vikings took a defensive tackle. The Redskins took a cornerback. The Dolphins took a wide receiver. The Seahawks took a left end, Jay Hughes. And up next was Cleveland. I wasn't getting any value out of any of these teams. They were only offering one future pick, and that was the same round. So I figured it really wasn't worth it. So, looking at the list, I decided to make a selection here. So looking at my watch list, Wendell Jackson, DeAndre Mose, and Clifton Blue were all options. So was Dylan Mathis, but I figured he'd be there a little later. Corey Lindsay I had looked at. Clifton Blue was an option. And Clifton Blue ended up being a 69 overall. On the 6th round, that is, at the late 6th round, that is pretty solid. The Titans were on the clock next. They took a right outside linebacker. The Niners were up next. They took a right guard, Peterson. The Bears were next. They took a right guard as well. The Giants took a halfback. I looked at where my next pick was, and it was at number 209. And there was one player I had in mind specifically, and I was really hoping that he would not fall off the board before my pick. The Jets took a wide receiver at 199. It was a right guard. And at number 200, D-tackle Jennings was taken. 201 to the Colts with the wide receiver. A left tackle went to the Ravens. A cornerback to the Vikings. A left guard to the Chargers. A strong safety to the Cardinals. A wide receiver to the Texans. A right outside linebacker to the Eagles. A center to the Panthers. And now it was my turn to draft yet again. Dylan Mathis was still there, and he appeared to be the only reasonable option here. And Dylan Mathis is a 70 overall. 84 speed is decent, and he's definitely a player we can work with. And that was our final pick in the draft. The Lions took the center, and I wanted to see if we had any more picks, and we did not. The Niners would have Mr. Irrelevant. The Green Bay Packers took a quarterback. The Chiefs took the left tackle. The Cowboys took a defensive tackle. The Saints took a QB. The Bengals took another cornerback. The Patriots took another cornerback. The Steelers took a right tackle. The Vikings took a quarterback. The Saints took a halfback. Miami took a cornerback. The Rams took a wide receiver. The Broncos took a linebacker. The Titans took a right outside linebacker. And for Mr. Irrelevant, goes to the Niners. It is a defensive tackle. So now we're going to advance to the draft recap, where we can check out everything that happened during the draft. We can check out our players based on our scheme, what their overalls are now, as well as check out the rest of the league. So we're in off-season stage 6, and now let's go take a look at the rookie signings. We didn't have a first-round pick this year, but Byron Turner was our second-round pick. Ramsey, Russell, Luke Brandon, McGee, Pone Knox, Peniel Brandon, Dosha Jordan, Corbin Curse, Blue, and Mathis were our picks, so we had plenty of picks. So, Byron Turner's a 71 overall, Deshaun Ramsey's a 79, Raveris Russell's a 60, Luke Brandon's a 77, McGee's a 74, Pone Knox is a 64, free safety Brandon's a 67, a 64 Dosha Jordan, 62 Corbin Curse, a 67 Clifton Blue, and a 70 overall Dylan Mathis. So happy with those picks, especially Dylan Mathis. A 70 overall tight end in the 7th round is pretty great. So let's take a look at the rest of the league. The Bucks are up first. Connor Tolliver is an 80 overall defensive tackle and an 84 overall tight end with Shaynon Colbert, and didn't really do much the rest of the draft, but those first 2 picks are outstanding. 80 overall tight end with Mike Evans and a 72 in the 6th round. And Terrell Gator, an 80 overall defensive tackle. The Chiefs really didn't do much. They didn't have that great of a draft. The Colts with a 79 overall middle linebacker, and other than that, there really wasn't much to see. The Cowboys had a 75 overall defensive tackle. The Dolphins took an 82 overall tight end, Ruben Randall. The Eagles had a 79 overall left end. The Falcons took an 81 overall quarterback and an 81 defensive tackle. McNeil was a QB I liked. The Niners took a 73 wide receiver, and he was their only decent prospect, so not a good draft for them. 83 quarterback Brendan Thomas for the Giants. The Jaguars took an 80 cornerback Scott. The Jets took an 80 strong safety. The Lions took a 76 middle linebacker. The Packers took a 79 cornerback and strong safety. The Panthers took a 74 wide receiver. The Patriots took a 77 middle linebacker. The Raiders took a 78 cornerback and another 78 cornerback. The Rams didn't really do that well. They got a 78 center though. The Ravens got an 83 tight end in Bradley Matthews. The Redskins took an 81 quarterback in Nate Robinson. The Saints took a 78 overall free safety late. The Seahawks had a 79 defensive tackle. The Steelers got an 80 wide receiver in Brian Brackett. And they also took Tavares Lunsford. The Texans got an 84 overall tight end in L.E.R. Dobbins and really didn't do much the rest of the draft. The Titans didn't do that well in the draft either. They had a 77 defensive tackle. The Vikings, they did okay this draft. They had a 78 free safety late. The Bears had an 83 quarterback, Riley Tarpley, the number 1 overall pick. The wide receiver. And now in the Bengals, they had a 73 wide receiver, but not a good draft for them. A 78 overall quarterback for Buffalo. The Broncos took an 80 tight end. The Browns took a 70. And now we're back at the Browns. So we've gone through. That is all of the players that we have taken, and as well as around the league. Luke Brandon seems interesting. So does Corbin Curse and Dayon McGee. Deshaun Ramsey seems like a good player. And Byron Turner hopes to be the future of this franchise, but he's only a 71. I want to check out what Deshaun Ramsey's ratings are. 66 catching is decent. 86 catching for the player below him. And so after looking at that, that was the draft recap. So we've looked at all the players from the draft, and now it was time to change positions and adjust some things. I wanted to try out some players at different positions. So looking at right outside linebacker and left outside linebacker, Mingo's a left outside linebacker. I wanted to move Danny Trevathan to left outside linebacker. So looking at this, right outside linebacker, I put him at left outside linebacker and tried that. I almost changed his age, but I didn't, don't worry. So at left outside linebacker, let's take a look at his ratings. He wasn't a right outside linebacker, he was left. And Danny Trevathan's a 75 left outside linebacker, so he's better suited at middle linebacker. And that's where we're going to keep him, at in the middle. I almost moved to defensive tackle. Whoops. So, looking at this, it didn't seem like Danny Trevathan offered a lot of flexibility. And I looked at our picks. We definitely had plenty of cornerbacks at middle linebacker. I experimented with Chris Kirksey moving over to the left side of the linebacking core. No, I actually tried him out at the right side. And at right outside linebacker, Chris Kirksey is a 71 overall, so he's really not suited for the outside spot. And we're going to move him back to middle linebacker, so obviously we're not getting a lot of flexibility when it comes to moving our linebackers around. So let's go take a look at some other players. Middle linebacker, Dansby, I wanted to keep there, the veteran. The cornerback, we had plenty of cornerbacks, and I felt like we could move them around. Dosha Jordan, I felt like he would do better at safety. He had a decent durability grade, but most players have that. Confidence was pretty low. Zone coverage, an 81 zone coverage struck me as pretty good, but it is the worst of our cornerback crew. Play recognition was 65, and Justin Gilbert was 70, and 52 play recognition for the man below him. For Deshaun Ramsey, I believe. Tremont Williams was there. Deshaun Ramsey is there with 52 play recognition. 65 for Dosha Jordan, though, and 70 for Justin Gilbert. Looking at hit power, none of them had very good hit power except for Joe Hayden. And that still wasn't that great hit power. Catching, though, 91 catching for... 66 catching for Deshaun Ramsey. 91 speed, though, seems very interesting. So I experimented with Deshaun Ramsey at free safety, so we're going to see how he works out there. Let's go take a look. And Deshaun Ramsey kind of drops off there. I feel like he's better suited as a cornerback. And we really don't need help at free safety. We have Poyer, we have Tashawn Gibson, two very good guys. And Peniel Brandon, the rookie free safety, is there. He just doesn't seem like an awe-inspiring prospect, but he is a 67 overall. And so I feel like the best move for Deshaun Ramsey is to move him back to cornerback. I feel like that's his natural position, and he's the best there. So let's go take a look at some other players who could possibly be moved. Cornerback, who else? Deshaun Ramsey was there. K'Wan Williams, I want to keep him at cornerback. He's a good slot corner. Deshaun Ramsey seems like a very good number 4 corner. Justin Gilbert is someone I'd like to trade, especially if it involved a right tackle. But Dosha Jordan here, I wanted to see what he would do at safety. So let's put him at free safety and see what happens. So looking at free safety, and Dosha Jordan still is 64. That's still better than he is as cornerback, though. And I wanted to make sure I knew what he was at cornerback. At free safety, he's a 64. I wanted to put him at strong safety and see what happened. He's a 64 free safety. And at strong safety, he is a 57 strong safety. So I feel like moving him to free safety is the best move here for all parties. So while he won't be anywhere near that starting role, he's still an option. So Dosha Jordan is, for the time, the 4th string free safety. Looking at cornerbacks, K'Wan Williams, Deshaun Ramsey was there. And all these guys are good, but I want to trade Justin Gilbert, especially if it involves a right tackle. Byron Turner's a 71 overall rookie from Texas A&M, 6 foot 219. I wanted to check out some of his ratings. 56 confidence, 89. And throw power rating was 89, that's good. Medium throw accuracy and deep throw accuracy really needs to be worked on. 90 throw on the run, 69 play action, 55 awareness, 82 speed though, 59 strength, 91 agility, and these were some good running ratings, so I feel like he could be a new and improved Johnny Manziel if given the right tools. He's from Texas A&M as well, so we have 2 Texas A&M mobile quarterbacks on our roster. Yeah, that's great. Johnny Manziel's from Texas A&M as well, if you didn't know. So we went back and took a look at our roster. 99 Joe Thomas sitting at the top, Byron Turner, and I kept accidentally clicking on. I'm not sure if I wanted to move him somewhere. I don't know what I was doing here. But as you can see, Johnny Manziel, Chad Henne we signed. He's more of a camp body. We can always cut him because we didn't give him any bonuses. Dayon McGee, and those are some decent ratings. 90 trucking though is what really excites me with McGee. 91 stamina, not a good kick returner though, and I'm not sure what the personality rating is. 87 injuries, fairly low. Looking down, 68 catching. So Dayon McGee seems like an interesting prospect. He was the All-Star Game MVP, so that should add some more hype to him. 6 foot, 229. Wide receiver, and we have way too many wide receivers. Tight end, Dylan Mathis, the 70 overall tight end. And I looked at him and considered moving him. I wanted to look at him, and I ended up just changing his number. And I looked at a number in the 40s, but I figured that just really didn't look like. So he's going to be at number 88. I almost moved him to 89, but 88 seemed like the right number for him. I'm going to be changing some numbers off camera. I like being able to change those numbers. It just makes me happy. I don't know why. Dosha Jordan is still at free safety, and I wanted to change his number as well from 24, because I feel like if I bring Johnson Batamosi back, then he'll probably want 24. And so Dosha Jordan is number 47 for the moment, unless he gets cut in preseason, which is a possibility because he's not that good. I'm sorry, Jordan, but you're just not that good. So now let's go take a look at our depth chart. Ryan Seymour's our starting right tackle. I want to address that very much. So I'm going to go take a look at our depth chart. Johnny Manziel, Chad Henne, Thad Lewis, and Byron Turner's our 4th string quarterback at the moment. He will probably be starting week 1 because he's our rookie quarterback. Isaiah Crowe will be starting at halfback. And Duke Johnson Jr. probably will have his role small a little more with Dayon McGee, but I would expect Terrence West to be cut. Josh Cornwell and Dwayne Bowe will be the starting receivers. Devin Hester, Brian Hartline, and Jarius Ryder there. And Colvin Kearse, expect him to be a jump ball in the red zone threat. And then I'm not sure what Laveraus Russell is going to be good for. Left tackle, Joe Thomas obviously is going to be starting there. Left guard, Joel Bitonio, we're set. Center, Alex Mack, set. And I looked at Cameron Irving and saw he was an 83 left guard, but only a 76 center. So I thought, what if I moved Cameron Irving over the center and then found another backup center somewhere else along the line, or maybe even in free agency, or just already on the team who would do better there. I looked at left guard, and Cameron Irving was still an 83 there, and unfortunately he's a center, and he's only a 76 center, so I figured if I move him to left guard, that'll be an upgraded backup left guard, right? So I wanted to go back and take a look at I wanted to adjust the roster and see what would happen there. And so at center, I decided that Cameron Irving would end up becoming a left guard for us. So Cameron Irving's being moved to left guard. And let's see how that pans out. And he is an 83 overall left guard, so an improvement. But now at right tackle, Jeremy Trueblood is a better center than he is right tackle, so I'm not sure why he's been playing right tackle his whole career when he's a better center. And so looking at his center rating, Jeremy Trueblood ends up as a 77 overall, so he's almost the same, but a little bit better, maybe a little worse, I'm not sure what. But we're going to keep it that way. Cameron Irving is our second string left guard. Right guard, we have John Greco. We need to find another right guard. That's what we need, because we only have one at the moment. Right end, Desmond Bryant. Left outside linebacker. And I wanted to move some guys, defensive tackles outside. Poe Knox was an option. Luke Brandon was an option. So I decided to look at some of these guys. The rookie out of OSU seems very promising. 75 hit power, though. So none of these guys have great hit power. Acceleration, good acceleration for Brandon, though, but high injury for Luke Brandon. So that's going to be kind of annoying. And I decided to experiment a little bit with Luke Brandon. He's a 77 overall defensive tackle, 6'3", 303 pounds. So he's a big guy. And I feel like he'd be a good addition along the line. Defensive tackle, looking at the other one. Poe Knox out of Auburn seems like a guy who needs a position change. He's a 64 overall defensive tackle. I wanted to try him out at right end. And let's see what his rating is. He was a 64 defensive tackle. And let's go take a look at what he is now. And he is now a 67 overall right end. So I feel like he's better suited at the end positions. And when I was recording this, I forgot what his rating was, so I had to move back to defensive tackle and see what his rating was there. But I feel like Poe Knox at right end is the best solution for him. And as you can see, he's a 64 overall defensive tackle, so probably better suited at the end position than he is in the middle. He's probably more of a speedy guy than he is a big guy in the middle. And that's okay. We need to find guys on the edge, especially guys that can come off the bench and play. And Poe Knox is now going to play backup right end for us behind Desmond Bryant. Defensive tackle Luke Brandon, I feel like he's going to end up staying there. Nishmally Kitchen is going to be there as well. Deshaun Ramsey's going to stay at cornerback. K'Wan Williams is going to stay at cornerback. At free safety, scrolling down the list, strong safety. And at free safety, I look down, and Jordan Poyer is an interesting player here. He's 6 foot, 191 pounds, and that seemed like most of the major changes we had to make. I looked at Dosha Jordan. He seems like a guy who's probably not going to make it past preseason. Peniel Brandon, though, the free safety, 207 pounds, 6 foot, and I was looking at him, and I tried moving him to strong safety, and let's see what Peniel Brandon looks like at strong safety. And at strong safety, Peniel Brandon is a 70 overall, so he's better than Ibrahim Campbell. So I feel like Brandon at strong safety is the best option, and then keeping Dosha Jordan at free safety. At tight end, we're pretty much set, but it's going to be a battle for the third tight end spot between Jim Dre and Dylan Mathis, so stay tuned for that. As you can see, there's news that we have moved Jeremy Trueblood to center. As you can see, we're moving, and Chris Kirksey is staying at middle linebacker. We tried moving him, and then, of course, Cameron Irving moving to left guard. And the Browns are hoping to draft, and the Browns took Dylan Mathis, Dosha Jordan. He went to the Browns as well. And this is mostly just news about our draft pick. Peniel Brandon is from us, and Poe Knox, and then, of course, the Danny Trevathan signing. And the Browns are hoping, and Brendan Thomas ended up being the number 2 overall pick. Tarpley was the number 1. Brian Brackett went to the Steelers, helping further their wide receiver core even more, which is something scary. So let's go take a look at preseason week 1 and who we play. So let's take a look at the list. And as it simulates the off-season recap, we're going to be heading to preseason week 1 of season 2. And that video will be up soon. I'll talk more about it later. And going down the list. Not going down the list. Well, I'm still thinking back to the draft. I'm sorry. So we're going to take a look at the franchise simulation screen. We're just simulating. And we play the Philadelphia Eagles in week 1. Giovanni Bernard, Newton, and McCray are all options. Brian Hartline, I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade our players. And as you can see, we badly need a right tackle. We badly need a right tackle. So I went ahead and took a look at some right tackles, but the best one was Chris Clark, who's really not an upgrade over what we already have. Cameron Bradfield, he wasn't an upgrade either. So I feel like we're going to have to stick with what we get. If I find a guy on the trade block I really like, you saw Derek Newton there from the Texans. He could very well end up being someone. Andrew Gardner was there, right guard. Incognito at center, Kevin Booth at left guard, and Mini Silatalu. Incognito was interesting, but I ended up passing on him because I probably get a ton of hate in the chat. Not the chat, the comments. And right outside linebacker, Studebaker, Michael Kendricks at middle linebacker, 87 overall. But I didn't need a middle linebacker. I just picked up Danny Trevathan. And I'm not sure what I was doing, but I decided to view his card. And you should be able to view that thing that has all their speed and hit power and all those statistics. It's kind of annoying how they don't have that. But I should be able to check that out. It was kind of annoying, but as you can see, Michael Kendrick is the highest rated free agent. Sam Macho is a 75 linebacker who's available. Usama Young, Alan Ball, Michael Kendricks, Reggie Nelson, Mercedes Lewis, Ihedebo, DeJuan Landry, Joel Dreesen, the tight end, Tommy Kelly, the right end. And so that was me looking at the free agents. Now I take a look at defense. And as you can see, we've put some guys along the line. And now let's go take a look at some other stuff. So let's take a look at the schedule. That's something to look at. And let's take a look. We play the Eagles at the Broncos versus the Jaguars and at the Colts for preseason. But it's the regular season that matters. We open at home against the Redskins, at the Patriots, at the Cowboys, versus the Bills, at the Jets, versus the Eagles, at home against the Bengals, at the Giants, versus the Dolphins, at the Steelers, at the Ravens, versus the Steelers, versus the Ravens. So 5 divisional games at the row, at the Bengals, and then we finish out with those 2 final games. And that's pretty much gonna do it for this episode. I'll sign some more free agents off camera, and I'll see you in preseason week 1.